Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Give me a moment to make a nice tea here, green tea from Bangladesh. And I think, at least I think it is, because it says it's not a big company. Organic green tea must be from Bangladesh. So, let's see who we have here. We have Dina. Oh my goodness, 2 times in a day. That's wonderful. Dina, 31, female from Missouri. Lovely for you to join us. Thank you for the support. And Dina says, and I will get to Dina right away. Let me say hello to everyone. Sagata is here. Hello, Sagata. Male 31, India. He says, hello, sir. Hello there. Stephen is here. He says, hi, Meran. Stephen, male 40, Los Angeles. Oh, you did? He says, I send you an email, but maybe we can discuss it here instead. Sure, by all means. I haven't checked my email recently, just about past a couple of hours, because I realized I am short in beets and kale, and I love to have beets, kale, celery, lemon, apple, and maybe a stick of carrot juice every morning. That's lots of nitric oxide and something that everybody needs, let alone my age. Art Sukhla is here. Let me put this back. He's distracting me here. Hello, Art. Good to see you, dear. And okay, good. All right. So first things first. What happened? We have 11 people, viewers, but we have only 4 showing up. What happened to the rest of you? You guys, you're shy. Come on in. No one bites here. Dina says, Meran, how come after a person has done the work necessary to move on from an ex and is completely over them, does it sting when they move on, even though you don't want them back? Yes, it does. Because you have set your trajectory to move on, your plans to move on, based on the fact that I'm moving on, and you do not concern yourself with what if he is moving on as well. You didn't prepare for that. You didn't say, I'm moving on and I'm okay and I don't give a shit who he goes on out with or what he does. You just dealt with the fact that you're not together. But what you're feeling right now is not about him. It's not about the fact that you miss him or want him. It's about the fact that even though he might be a scumbag, I don't say he is, I'm just making a general comment. Even if the guy is a scumbag and you have nothing to do with him, the reason you feel the way you do is not because of him. It's because you think somebody else has been chosen versus you, even by scumbag. Because every single one of us constantly have been duped to believe that we have to be chosen. We have to be considered by everyone the first choice. Even though if the guy is he's got no knowledge about soccer, but you want his opinion to be, oh yeah, you're the best soccer player. Why? He's not qualified to make a comment about soccer players. So if he says, oh, you're not a best soccer player, the other one is, you shouldn't care, but you do. Why? Because you haven't been taught that you should care about a comment that is made by a specialist. You've been programmed to care about the comments and opinion of others about you, regardless of what their specialty is or is not. That's been a conditioning from childhood, that in order for you to feel more valuable, you have to get other people's opinion complimentary to you. So you're fishing for that, looking for that, for affirmation, validation from all kinds of people, even the guy who's sweeping the street or the guy who's taking the garbage. You just want to hear something to validate yourself because you've been sold the bill that your validation, your value comes with other people's opinion. Now, then here, the opinion is that the guy that you don't want has chosen somebody else. Even though you don't want the guy, but you still want the chosen. You want to be chosen. So it's not what you're being selected for or selected by. You just want to be selected. So your feeling of zinging or stinging is not because you missed the guy. You already moved on and you're fine. But the fact that somebody else have filled possibly your shoes, and you think that means that person is better than you, even though the guy is actually not someone that you would want to have anything to do with. These are just mental conditionings that you've received, wrong way of evaluating yourself, and you're stuck with it until you change your value system and you say that my worth and value comes from me, not from whoever is going to occupy. Look, even if you've got a job as a valet in a restaurant and you make tips, and then you find a better job at a bigger restaurant as a valet, park cars and make big tips. And then you see that somebody else has got the same station and shift that you used to have at that other place when you have just moved to the new place and you haven't really situated yourself well enough. You feel a little bit jealous why the management hired that other person when you were doing such a great job, even though you already got another job. You just don't want anybody to measure up or be considered as equal to you in some previous standing that you were holding. That's what the conditioning of the consciousness has been in this kind of society. And you shouldn't really care about that. Hopefully that would be a little bit something for you to ponder on. And Dina says also, do you believe soul tires are real? What? Soul tires are real? I don't even know what soul tire is. I don't find that described anywhere as what you said. Soul tires. Maybe you can explain to me and I'll get back to you. Or maybe the spelling is something I can't find any definition for it. And Dina said, I really liked. Thank you for that. We have 10 people here, 7 liked, 3 idling. The 3s are on the fence. Keep your balance on the fence till you come up to a conclusion. And Nick is here, says, Kia ora matua meran, kia ora to you as well, dear Nick. Male 43, New Zealand. Here again with you, Tena Kautou. Hi everyone, he says. It's always a pleasure to have such a good positive energy here. Nick is a good guy. Everybody's a good guy. Steven, Sagota, and Dina is a good guy even though he's not a guy. She's not a guy. We're not discriminating here. She's a good gal. Everybody. Art is a good boy. And everybody else here. And so. All right. I'm not sure if top 10 here is a troll or not, because that question is rather weird. I'm going to let it be there because I want everybody to know if I am right or wrong, and we will just make that decision democratically to see if somebody is being trolling or actually genuinely has a question. And so. Listen, Art, I don't really think, sometimes I really think you're a troll. Honestly. Because the kind of questions that you put here is totally irrelevant to anything, including HOCD. Yeah? It's a personal preference that you have for that which you're talking about, girls. Okay. But what does it have to trigger HOCD? So I'm not really convinced sometimes if you're really real. Your questions are very, very meaningless because you're constantly focusing on making meaning out of every goddamn thing that really has no meaning. Either you have certain condition that you really have to discuss with psychotherapists to find out why you go data hunting and meaning for every single thought that comes up to your head, because as I explained through many videos and through many discussions and many responses on the comments that you make, elaborate, long, big responses, complete detailed explanation, you don't seem to be listening to them. I have mentioned to you that the topic of the thought that appears in your head is irrelevant, is not important. Don't even try to make meaning or interpret it or data hunt it or anything. Just recognize that this is an intrusive thought. That's all you need to do. And then by having recognized this is an intrusive thought, move on. Do not interfere with it. Let it be. It can be whatever thought it wants to be. Brain is a thought manufacturing plant, as I've explained 100 million times. But if you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, you will be repeating everything that shows up in your brain, and that's the problem. You pay attention to thoughts that appear in your head. And as I have mentioned, everything in our body has a job to do, and it's designed to do something. A job of kidney is to filter your blood, clean your blood. Liver detoxifies you. Brain makes thoughts. That doesn't mean that the thought that the brain makes is you or describes you, has anything to do with you. It's the brain's thought, it's not your thought. You're not thoughts. Thoughts are not you. You're not the brain. Brain is not you. Therefore, it's irrelevant that you try to interpret thoughts that are made by somebody else out there, because your brain is no different than somebody else out there. If somebody says something while you're passing out in the street, you don't give a damn because you say, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't know anything about me, and I don't value your uttering because I don't know who you are. Same thing with brain. Brain is not you. Therefore, what it says, you pay no attention to it. Unless you see it's useful for you to calculate something, figure out something, learn something, produce something, design something, accomplish something, plan something. That's when you are using the apparatus of the brain. But brain also uses its own apparatus to make thoughts. And you're supposed to stop trying to pay attention to what brain is doing. Pay attention to if you select to pay attention to what brain is doing or not. That's all. Don't data hunt the brain. So honestly, if I put this here, which I did, I opened that question, and you can see when you read your question, it just doesn't make sense. So you like that part of the girl the way you like it. Okay, great. That by itself explains that you're a heterosexual male and you adore girls and you like that part in that way. Okay, great. The rest of it, that it triggers HOCD, it's just nonsense. Because you keep wanting to make, even if I tell you apple, you're going to say, oh, it triggers HOCD. Why? Because a thought that pops up, instead of ignoring it because it can pop up anything, you think because it pops up, you got to know. And it brought a thought of HOCD into your mind, then this has association with that. Now I got to find out why. No. You know, you got to get a hold of that, because you're just running off with, you know, just nonsense. And it's not going to be good for you. Look, yeah, as I exactly said, your second question is also the same. You are simply paying attention to thoughts that are being created in the brain instead of understanding and learning to deal with HOCD or any kind of intrusive thought. The key is not to pay attention to topics and try to understand or stop or interpret the topics. It's about all topics of all kinds of OCDs, whether it's HOCD, responsibility OCD, harm OCD, pedophilia OCD, any other subsets of OCD, they're all OCD. And that means you just don't pay attention to it. Simple. All right. Arjun Siva says, hi sir, Arjun 26, male India. Sir, I don't feel happy for 3 months. Oh, that's a short time. Wait till you grow up a little bit older. You may not be happy for many months. So you're doing good. All right. And Arjun says, it's like I fell into a well and I can't be happy anymore. Sitting in home for 8 months made me mad, very down. I'm trying hard to be happy. Look, don't try to be happy. Just try to focus on the things that you have. That's all. And then tell me if you feel happy or not. Look, do you have water to drink? Do you have food to eat? Do you have a place to sleep and know you're not going to be attacked or, you know, somehow in danger? Do you? Is that good? Or would you have preferred, if you didn't have anything to drink, you didn't have food to eat, you didn't have a secure place to sleep, would that be better? Now tell me, if you don't feel happy and you have all these things, how do you think a person who doesn't have anything to eat or drink or is not safe would be feeling? What if he tells you that, actually, I'm happy because last night nobody attacked me and I had food yesterday, and don't you think then that means that person is focusing on the good things that are happening to his life? He's been conditioned, expert in just focusing on positive and good things, and that's why he's happy. But you are conditioned only to focus on when you wake up in the morning, first thing you think, oh, what I don't have. what I'm mad at, what I'm upset at, what makes me angry. You don't focus on the fact that I have a place, I can wash my hands, I can go to the toilet, and I have food, some tea, and I'm safe. So you need to focus on things that you want to have and you have them, and things that you don't want to have and you don't have them. And instead of thinking about things that you don't have, focus on the things that you do have and you want to have them. And don't worry about being happy or not. Just focus on these things and see how it makes you feel. And then focus on, what if I didn't have water? If I didn't have a safe place? What if I didn't have this food that I'm eating? What if I wasn't safe? Then suddenly you say, hey, I'm pretty good, am I not? Maybe that will jolt you to start appreciating some of the things that you're taking it for granted. So take it from there and start from there and see how it goes. Now, top 10, you have a couple of questions which, again, I'm not sure if you are trolling or if you're real. Your first question is, how do I stop masturbation and thinking about girls? What do you want me to say about that? You don't want to do something? Don't do it. It's your choice. And why do you want to stop thinking about girls? What's wrong with that? That's something that you're programmed. If you're a heterosexual male, you will be thinking about girls forever. So what's wrong with that? If you don't become consumed by the idea that always you have to be pursuing girls and neglect your responsibilities and duties and what you should be accomplishing in life, well, that's a problem. And then you will figure it out. But otherwise, I don't see any reason why you should stop thinking about girls if it's balanced and in good taste. And you think positively and you appreciate and you want to get to know a good girl and you present yourself properly and be cordial behavior and civilized behavior towards her and treat her well. So what's wrong with that? And the other one, you figure it out, you know. And you forgot to let us know how old you are. Everybody, don't forget, the protocol is important for me to know how old you guys are that you're here. If you're too young, you shouldn't be here. If you're too young and you want to be here, your parents should know. This channel is not for young people of 14, 15 or whatnot, unless your parents sitting beside you and allow you to be there or they are aware of it. All right. And your other question, top 10, is again something, I don't know. You say, why, sir, why some movies are so too sexual? Do this benefit common people? Well, you know, sex is part of our life. And people do everything they do in order to eventually get some sex. It's so important. It's the only time that they don't feel they need anything or anything is missing in their life. They get to a certain level that everything is okay and there is no problem and they have everything but they don't have anything, but they don't care. Everything is just like they're a rich person. It takes them away from all the problems and things that is happening in their heads. So, and of course, to a limit, extraordinary amount of exposing these sort of thing in movies or so on is not beneficial. It's just selling tickets, but otherwise it insensitizes people towards respect toward women, and it insensitizes people toward actually being so, excited about getting to know a woman. Instead, they start thinking about women as it is portrayed in the movies, but every woman is different. They have different interests or expectations from behavior of the men, and you shouldn't get your cues from the movies, but it's there to sell a ticket. So I'm not really so fond of these exposés on movies and all that. It's not necessarily a good role model, but to some extent is part of the story, and it needs to follow the story, so that should be okay. All right. Aman Gadpal says 19 male India. Thank you for that. How to make distance from negative identify or false identity which our mind deeply identifies with. You need to explain a little bit more in a specific, because negative identity, I don't understand what you mean. False identity, I don't understand what you mean. In job or in what? False identity in what? Like you want to pretend you're important, you want to pretend you have a certain job to impress girls, or is it that you are a heterosexual and you have intrusive thoughts that you're not? I'm not sure what your question is. Akash says, Akash, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't have any medical credentials. My research is on movement of mind, meditation, and the components and the fragments of the psyche based on my independent research, and not the academic medical universities or whatnot. So I want to make that clear. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychotherapist. If you guys need to talk to a professional with certain certifications, you got to call your doctor and get a referral and see a psychotherapist. So while I try to help with the knowledge and the research that I've done, but I want to make that clear that I'm not a doctor. I'm not pretending to be one. I'm not claiming to be one, and I want you guys to talk to your psychotherapists and psychologists for specific information that you need. The information that I'm offering here is based on some scientific studies from scientists and doctors and specialists, and discussions on that, and based on research that I've done on the masters of 100 years ago on the movements of mind, and my own experiences in life and studies and trainings that I've had in meditation and so on and so forth, and understanding the mind and body coordination and movement of the mind and what makes our psyche behave the way it does. So Akash says, it's been 6 months after my breakup, but I still have not moved on. Well, who do you think is at fault? Who's responsible for you not having moved on? You are sitting in the car, you have the key to turn the ignition on, and you are moaning and groaning that I haven't gotten to my destination. Why? Who's responsible? Well, you are. You haven't put the key in the ignition and turned it on and then move on driving. There's nobody stopping you from moving on. Only you. Same thing as you sit in the car. You're the only one who's not putting the key in the ignition. You have it. You can do it. You chose not to. Why? Because you think if you don't move on, then the girl that has broken up with you will have pity on you. Or in your mind, you would not have disappointed the value you had for the girl by having moved on, because that would mean you have now sinned against what you have made out to be the most important thing in your life, the love of your life. If I move on, that means I have disrespected my own choosing and my own production of this girl being the queen of my life. What nonsense is that? She's not with you. She doesn't deserve to have your attention. And if you move on, which means she's no longer the love of your life, or you're disrespecting her, well, so be it. You're not disrespecting her by any words or action. You're just honoring yourself by respecting your own freedom of life and go and find another girlfriend for yourself. That's all. It is you and only you who can stop you. Your own thoughts, your own brain, your own decision. Brain is very powerful. Instead of allowing it to keep you attached to that old story or relationship, use that power to propel you forward and go to other islands and find out what's going on in there. Cut the rope from the boat you're sitting in from the dock. Then you can row and go forward. As long as you haven't cut the rope, you can't go anywhere, no matter how much you really want to. So first, cut the rope, meaning feeling that she's not qualified anymore. You don't want to be with her, unwant her, and then you will be having an easier time to move on. For whatever reason, she's no longer qualified. And one big reason is that if she's not with you, then what good is it, no matter how beautiful and how wonderful she is? If it's not for you, who cares then? It's not for you, so you shouldn't be consider her the one that you should be staying and attached to. Move on. Find someone who really pays attention to you. And that's being practical. Arlo Court says, any advice for the stress of transitioning to university? Arlo, first I need to know who you are. Gender, age, where you're tuning in from, something. And there are 15 people here, only 10 likes. The other 5 people don't like us. Or has the cover charge been too expensive? Come on, move your butts and push that like button. We like to be considered very popular, and that needs to have lots of likes for YouTube to recognize the video. Amit Singh says, male 30, India. Thank you for that, Amit. And says, after breakup, I have lost all confidence in myself. Naturally, you feel rejected, but you're not focusing on what am I rejected by? Another human being. So how much really that worth? Not much. Why? Because she hasn't accomplished anything herself. What has she done in this life? What makes her so special? The only thing that makes her so special is my desire for her. On her own, she hasn't accomplished anything. It is my desire that has made her so important. Remember, guys and gals, importance of people and things is equal to your need and desire for them. On their own, they have to prove to you why they're so valuable. If they haven't proven to you that they're so valuable by their behavior, the way they treat you and all that and so forth, or their accomplishments in life, or the human well-being and the society and world in general, if they haven't done that, the only reason they seem to be important is because you desire them. For one reason or another. Maybe you need them to, write your paper, or you need them to clean your car or your house, and they're important. Or you want to have a girlfriend, you want to hold her hand, you have a desire for her, then suddenly she becomes important. But on her own, what has she done to deserve to become that important? You got to think about that. And when you figure that out, then you will see, well, okay, I'm bringing lots of things to the table. I'm trying to be at my best, but what has she done? She hasn't done anything, but I think she's great. Why? Because I desire her. Because you're programmed that way to desire a woman, and that's what you're doing. So that's not a credit to her. It's because of you that she seems so important, not on her own alone. And he says, and every time I bump into her, all history comes to my mind, how to get over that thought. Well, just understand that the reason that she seems important is because of you, not because of her. It is you who owns that key that makes her feel so important. You have the wand, and the wand is integrated in your program that you adore, attracted to women, and pursue them and want them. So this want makes them seem so important. Look, if you're hungry, you see an apple, you think, wow, that apple, I it's so important. I'm willing to pay $100 for it because you're hungry and there's nothing else around, right? But if you're not hungry, the same apple, of course, unused, even they want to sell it for $1, you say, no, too much. I don't want to have, what for? So really, is it the apple that is important? Or is it your hunger that makes the apple so valuable and important? It's your hunger. So you have that hunger. You go somewhere else and buy an orange. It'll be still fine. Because you can unleash your hunger to the orange. So you have made this girl important because it is your desire that has made her important. So take this desire to another girl and unleash it on her, because every woman has amazing things to attract you and make you desire them. So put the desire onto them. Allow your desire to be attracted and focus on them. And then you will see that suddenly this one, no longer that important. So it is your desire that makes it. That's what I'm trying to say. That is making her important. On her own, she has no power. All right. Let's go on to John Morelatos. Says, hi, thank you for all the work you do. You're quite welcome, John. I appreciate you being here. Says, I'm almost 3 years past breakup. I guess this calls for me getting a hold of my ugly stick, because that, I think it's coming. It's going to come handy right now with what I'm about to hear. 3 years, and you're still thinking of her? For heaven's sake, John, what's wrong with you? And first of all, give me the protocol, John. Where are you tuning in from? How old you are? So while I finish, you please furnish that. And says, I feel, post-breakup, and though I feel I am not totally healed from grieving relationship, life is a lot better from following some of your advice. Okay, wonderful. Okay, that saved you from this. This is going to go where it was. It might not be needed. Okay. All right, good for you. Scared me at the beginning. I said, okay, it's got some beatings going to happen right now. Now, John, where's the protocol? I want to know where we spoke with. All right. I'm sure he will write it down. Arjun Siva says, yes, sir. I have anything you have said. Okay, again, it's not clear for me. Which one is it? Is it about you're pretending to be other people, or you're pretending to be a different gender, or what is it? Guys, I jump from one question to another. I don't remember what I said in the other one. So please make your questions clear so I can be of some help. All right. Atif says, hi, Mehran, 38, male, New York City. Thank you, Atif. Says, I'm starting to date again after a breakup a few years ago. And I'm wondering if I can still get girls in their 20s, as I find myself most attracted to them. Well, you find yourself most attracted to a 20-year-old. Well, I hope that's a legal age there. But 22-year-old, 23-year-old, who wouldn't be attracted? But you got to have a right sense. You're 38 years old. Do you really think where you are mentally and experiencing life is where the 20-year-old woman is? She still has to experience many things that she hasn't, but those many things, mostly you have experienced them. going to disco, going to movies, concerts, this and that. And you're not really going to be continuing doing that for the next 10 years, but she will. And so if even you guys find each other attracted to each other and hit it off, a year or two down the road, she's still immature for you. For herself, she's mature because she compares herself from where she is, 22-year-old versus 18-year-old. She feels, oh, I'm on top of the world. I'm very mature. But you compare her with where you are, you find her immature because those things are hard to discuss, and constantly you got to be trying to make her realize some things that you have already realized for a long time, and some things that she just doesn't want to comply with because she's in different possibly half generation away from you, and she has no interest in the things that are valuable to you. So if you focus that relationship takes place between the consciousnesses, not between the physical attraction, the physical attraction would be an invitation to get to know each other. But if the consciousnesses don't bond, doesn't matter how attracted you were physically at the beginning, you guys won't tolerate each other. No wonder that so many beautiful, sexy actresses, movie stars, and they get married to a handsome actor in the same industry, but then they get divorced. How come? The guy was good looking and the woman was gorgeous. So why is it that they're breaking off? Because it's not about, the relationship is not between the two physical entity. The relationship is between the two consciousnesses and the content of the consciousnesses. If it's no bonding, there is no bonding on the consciousness level, doesn't matter how attractive you are. You get tired of each other because you can turn on and turn off by the words and the behavior and the things you're interested or not interested in. And it's not about the physical attraction other than the beginning part of it that creates that excitement. And then you got to be able to fortify it with your compatibility on the consciousness level. And then through the time, you will learn about trust, and you'll learn about how you behave with each other, how you treat each other, how unselfish you are, how catering, how attentive you are, and so on. And then you create a stronger bond on that level. And then it enhances your attraction to each other, which will give it a better chance to last longer. But if you only want to be with a 20, 21, 22-year-old, you don't have much in common with. Sometimes it may work, sometimes it might not. You may luck out and she might be very advanced in her understanding and interested in, where you are mentally, and she may have that interest to grow and advance herself into that level, or maybe higher level if she's, it's possible, and you could fall behind. But it's not that big of a percentage-wise successful endeavor. So you got to be reasonable and reason yourself to go for, if you're 30 years old, well, go for a 30-year-old woman. And that is a perfect woman. Had enough experiences, wisdom, and young and beautiful and perfect in every way. A 20-year-old for a 38-year-old, it may be exciting for both because she wants to feel more mature. She wants to go out then, therefore, with an older man, and you want to feel young and I still got it. So you want to say, oh, that 22-year-old is interested in me. So it's all just the image that you have created for yourselves, and you feel satisfied, both of you, for one reason or another. But really, it's not a real connection, is it? All right. Okay, I got to have some sip of this tea. Yummy. Viva Bangladesh with the tea that they have. Such good teas. All right. So, yeah, I thought so, Stephen, but I don't know which one. I think it's I was not wrong about the top 10. I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but But when it's not, complementary to the discussion, I'll just consider it troll. Atif says, or if I should even pursue them. Yeah, I think I just discussed it in detail for you. Juanpa says, Pura vida, Meran. Pura vida, dear Juanpa. Male 24, Costa Rica. Thank you for that. And Juanpa says, just bought a piano. Oh my goodness, do you play? Says, I'm just starting to learn how to play. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I have a piano. I don't know what to do with it. It's about 150 years old. And when my father bought bought their first house here in Canada, it was 40 years ago. That piano came with they bought the piano with the house too, and that then was 100 years old. Had come from UK. The owners were British, and they had brought that. It was in their family for so long. It's a Baldwin, something like Baldwin, I guess. And I have it in storage. I gotta do something with it. So piano is good, and you will have great time learning. And it's not gonna be easy, but it's gonna be probably very rewarding to learn it, and have a great life with music in your life. And Art says, you're a therapist, Mehran. You believe it or not? Okay, thank you. And Art says, okay, bye, sir. Meet you next week. Okay, Art. Have a nice week. Take good care of yourself. Connor says, are you homophobic? No, why should I be homophobic? What's wrong with discussing OCD and HOCD? Why does it have to have a label on it? Connor. And Aman says, Gajpale says, false identity means somebody suggested intrusive thoughts, which we are not. We believe at that time, and now it becomes a habit. Now we know the problem, but then how to stop that habit? You need to constantly remind yourself that this is intrusive thought, this is OCD, this is not me, this is HOCD, this is not me. And therefore you rewire yourself through neuroplasticity, and you will begin to not pay attention to the content of the intrusive thought, but the fact that it is an intrusive kind, and you move on with it. Don't try to interpret it. Don't try to pay attention to it. Don't try to data hunt it. Just notice that this is not something you're interested, irrelevant to you, and move on. And Akash says, thank you, sir. You're quite welcome. Arlo Court says, 17 male, North Vancouver. Oh, my goodness, you're from North Vancouver. John Morelatos says, 46 male, Calgary, Canada. Oh, my goodness, we've got some Canadians here. That's wonderful. Good of you to join us, John. Thank you for that. Princeton, my goodness, where have you been? It's been such a long time. Says, good day to you, Master Pilkach. Missed you lots. Well, where have you been? Hope you've been keeping healthy and doing good in your life. And Los Angeles Laura says, hi, Mehran. Hi, Mr. Mehran. I just found your channel this weekend. Shame on me that you couldn't find it sooner, because I am trying everything I can to make sure this channel is found by millions of people, and we are still oblivious. Nobody finds us. And when they find us, they swear by us. They think that nobody has been putting videos so helpful in relation to movement of mind, the psyche, thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, material process, mechanical process, order, And then the breakup things that we have talked about. We've got over 20,000 questions answered through our live streams. We have over 2,000, I think about 2,000 videos, standalone videos about different discussions. Pretty much anything under the sun. If you have any question or anything comes to your mind after your breakup, we have a video on it. So hopefully that will be helpful to you, and I'm delighted that you found us, Laura. Now, let us know about your, is it just a screen name or you're a lady? Let us know about your gender, age, and where you're tuning in from. Obviously, it's Los Angeles. It says right there, Los Angeles, Laura. So if this is true, then 2 questions of the 3 is answered. Where you're tuning in from, and almost your gender. But I would like it to be clear, and so I would address you properly, at least, and know the words and the proper description of discussion that I could offer you in return to your question. And she says, I just found your channel this weekend, and I really drawn a lot of strength and encouragement from you. Even though much of your advice is in response to male followers, you're 100%. You're 100. Well, thank you very much. I'm delighted that you're enjoying the channel. Yes, this channel started, Laura, as a channel focused on the challenges of young men in their relationships, when they break up with their girlfriends and so on. And then it little by little grew into women said, listen, the stuff that you say is very helpful. We want you to also focus on women as well. Then so I did that. Then I had some subscribers and people who were enjoying the channel, and they were of homosexual gender, and they had their questions, so they made appointment and talked to me on Skype, which I have a site where you can make an appointment. So I decided that, okay, this needs to be in a form that everybody can enjoy or benefit from, rather than just one particular gender. So this is how it has grown. But to begin with, it is started with just for boys who have broken up with their girlfriend, and then we expanded to all different kind of the facts of life out there. Sagota says, male 31, India. Still here, sir, watching and listening to every word you're saying. Just wanted to ping you to let you know once again. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Atif says, 38, male, New York City. Thank you for the answer. An important reminder. Okay, good. And Braham Bol says, sir, please talk about starting to feel feminine because of HOCD. Whatever we do, we start to feel feminine. Look, I have an elaborate playlist. It's called Intrusive, Transient, OCD, HOCD, Negative Thoughts. And this is designed for the heterosexuals who end up having homosexual thoughts, but yet they're not homosexual, they're heterosexual. And this HOCD is something real is out there that has been proven that it's a glitch in the signaling system. It's a malfunction in the signaling system of the brain. Prefrontal cortex sends suggestions and messages. Depending on your gender, whatever gender you are, you're heterosexual, it works in a certain way. You're homosexual, it works to protect you against certain intrusive thoughts. But orbital prefrontal cortex send a suggestion or thoughts. And based on how you're designed, a caudate nucleus, having this question gone to amygdala, thalamus, they respond, wants to come back, and caudate nucleus is responsible to shut intrusive thoughts, which is against your natural gender. And sometimes these signaling system, this caudate nucleus, which is like a gear shift of a car, it doesn't go in the shift to shut down intrusive thoughts, whatever the intrusive thoughts is to your gender, because it happens both ways. And then when it doesn't do its job, then this message has left unanswered because the frontal cortex is not responded to that, hey, we're not interested, this is not according to the programming that my gender enjoys, therefore stop this intrusive thoughts. Because it doesn't receive that, it keeps sending that suggestion again. It keeps it so long that the person who's actually being sufferer of this procedure, this thing, thinks because it keeps showing up, it must mean something. That perhaps I am not the gender that I thought I was, I'm not the gender that I always were, and maybe there is some changes happening, which is not true. Your gender doesn't change. Your gender is what it is, the way it's been created in the womb of your mother. If you're born homosexual, that is what you are for the rest of your life. Nothing can change that for you. If you're born heterosexual, that's how it's going to be the rest of your life. Nothing's going to change that for you. The thoughts that appear in your head could make you suffer because these are suggestions against what your natural gender is and what your inclination is. And you don't like to be anything other than what you've been born as and what you like to be and what you've been all your life. But these thoughts are intrusive and they interfere with your identity. Unless you understand that these are thoughts and not reality, it's a malfunction of the signaling system. That is just thoughts, and you should not be data hunting or interpreting them. You should just recognize these are intrusive thoughts against what you are, and it's not about who you are or doesn't identify you, no matter if they show up 1,000,000 times or not. Then when you focus on this, then you will rest assured and you just don't pay attention to them and you go about your business until eventually through your behavior towards these intrusive thoughts, your neurons will rewire themselves and learn that your behavior is trying to let the frontal cortex know, even though caudate nucleus is malfunctioning, but your behavior rewires your brain to realize that you are not interested in that. And eventually caudate nucleus glitches back on to working properly as it always did. So it's a glitch and you have to deal with it as it is until it starts showing less and less and eventually not. And if it did again, you know what it is and you know how to handle it. You just call it for what it is, intrusive thought. That's not me, that's OCD. And then you don't pay attention to it, you don't data hunt it, you don't engage with it, you ignore it. Just recognize what it is and then move on with your life. So you realize that it's thought, it's not you. It's not your thought, it's the brain's thought. And brain's job is to make thoughts. It makes all kind of thoughts that to you, it is irrelevant, it's meaningless, and therefore that's all you have to recognize. Whatever your gender is, this can happen for any gender. And that's how you deal with it and you move on so you will have your balance back and live your life as you have always been and you're pleased to continue. And Los Angeles Laura says, I'm a woman, I'm 40, and yes, I'm from Los Angeles. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, pretty smart, am I not? No. And Jojo says, sir, I have been through divorce from last 2 years. I have daughter which is away from me since 2018. I feel guilty. I can't face people. I lost my interest in life. Can I ever be happy? Jojo, are you a man or woman and how old you are? Could you kindly let me know? Because from your screen names, guys and gals, I can't tell. Sometimes a feminine screen name is chosen by a man, and sometimes a masculine screen name is chosen by a female. And from that, I can't tell what gender you are. So I ask you to make that clear for me. I'd appreciate that. And I'll come back to you, Jojo, as soon as I know that information. Brahman Boy says, at what age boys get to know their gender? Well, everybody knows their gender from the time they're born. I mean, not exactly that, when they start learning what is what. But for the first 13, 14, 15 years, boys are not so focused and clear as far as, because they all have many questions about their sexuality because they're children. So that's why they need to have a good role model to help them to understand these things if they have any questions. But usually they don't have a question. They just go through life and naturally they know who they are, what their inclination and interests are. And they'll figure it out by the age, pretty much that age, it's, they start paying attention to girls, so they know, and so on. And, if they are of different gender, then they will know their reactions to what gender it is, and that would be indications and so on. But at the young age, they really don't have an idea. They're just, responding. And that's why it's very important for them to have a proper environment for them, so they won't be influenced in this way or that way, so they can, grow to be what they have been meant to be and created as. So, pretty much. But, most of the boys from early on age, 4 years old, 5 years old, they know what they're interested in. So it's not like it kicks in at a certain age. No, they just go toward a certain direction that they're meant to go, depending on what their gender is, and their inclination becomes clear to them at very young age. But they still have so many questions and confusions that's why it's important not to interfere and let them to take their natural course. And Jojo says, boy, 31 years old. Okay. So Jojo says, sir, I have been through divorce from last 2 years. I have daughter, which is away from me since 2018. That's 2 years, a long time. I feel guilty. Well, you shouldn't have left her alone. Is it your wife that doesn't let you see her, or is it you that you just haven't been around? What have you been doing? Have you been working? Have you been sending money to your ex-wife or to her for her comfort? What you need to do to be the best father you can be, regardless if you're with your wife or not. And be there for your wife too, just because she's the mother of your daughter. So be nice to her and try to help her. And if she doesn't want to be with you, okay. Or if you decided not to be together, okay. But still, your responsibility as a father should still be there. And if she doesn't let you to be the father that you want to be, well, talk to her. Say, listen, we don't want to be together. That's fine. But this daughter needs a father and needs a mother. Nobody can replace you as a mother, and nobody should be able to replace me as a father. I should be able to protect her, and you should be able to protect her. Together, we can do this, and we can have our personal lives too. And you should be focusing on that in order to make that happen, because the most important thing is the child's well-being and safety and proper upbringing. She shouldn't feel just because you guys decided not to be together, and then she's going to be deprived from the love that she deserves from the father and from the mother. These are very important things that both of you, as friends and responsible parents, should sit down and discuss it and come up with a plan. Los Angeles Laura says, you're a straight shooter, yet a motivator. I really like that. I've enjoyed watching your advice and making it feel as if you were talking to me, so I can customize it to my situation. Well, delighted to hear that. That is the whole idea. I thank you for that feedback, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a safe channel. There is no malice toward anybody, There is no special agenda here. We talk straightforward. Everybody is important. Whatever your gender is, you're important, but no more important than the other gender. And just because you may be a majority or a minority, that doesn't make you special. What makes you special is how you behave in your society, what kind of role model you are, what you accomplish for betterment of the mankind, how do you contribute to the community and society you live in, what kind of role model you are for children, and so on, what responsibilities you take on, what do you do in your accomplishment in life. This is what makes us to have our values set for us. Not because you're part of this group or that group, you're this gender, you're that gender, you try to force me to talk about this or not talk about that. And these sort of behavior, like the question that was asked here by one of these people, well, it could be having some kind of an ulterior motive to come to a live stream and right off the bat ask something that is ridiculous and try to make that to be a legitimate question. Are you a homophobic? What the hell is that? Now, so we go to okay, and we go to Arlo Court. Says 17 male, North Vancouver. Says, hi Mehrad, you mean Mehran. Love the channel. Any thoughts on the people who are pushing different gender association on young children? Well, I don't think they should push any gender association to any child and let them be who they are, because they are born in a certain way and they know who they are, and eventually it will become more and more apparent. So they shouldn't be influenced to become this or become that, because that is not fair. Let the nature take its course. Whatever they're born as, they have the right to be that, because that is their destiny. But trying to fill their mind that you're this or you're that, majority percentage of the people in this world are heterosexuals. But the fact is that there are other genders. And so therefore, you got to be cognitive of that. You got to be aware of that there are differences. And everybody has the right to be what they are designed to be, rather than trying to influence it one way or the other. It doesn't need to be influenced. Listen, I don't know, if you like a certain kind of a food, you like certain kind of food. Doesn't matter how many times they say, oh, it's a bad food, it's a good food. The one who doesn't like that food will not be interested in that. The one who does like that food can't be moved away from it by keep saying, no, it's not a good food. You can't do that kind of interference. It's all, just doesn't happen. Gender is not like that. The chromosomes are shaped in a certain way, and that's the end of that. So leave it be. Braham Boy says, sir, at my age, OCD feels very, very, very scary and bad. Well, you are, it depends on what kind of OCD you have. Is it responsibility OCD? Is it harm OCD? Is it washing your hand 50 million times OCD, turning the lights off and on? Is it pedophilia OCD? Is it HOCD? I don't know what OCD. There's so many OCDs. So OCD is pretty much annoying at any age. And but the thing is, 94% of the people in this world, they all have intrusive thoughts. So it's not something that it's special to a bunch of people. Almost everybody in this world has had, or if they haven't, they will have intrusive thoughts, and or one or other kind of OCD. Very rarely people don't. Why? Because OCD really stems from search and seeking psychological security. And because we really don't have that psychological security, we never get that psychological security on this life or any other life, we try to somehow barter with it. Like we think, okay, somehow I got to create some kind of a safe and security that I can relax, that nothing bad will happen to my loved ones or to myself. So you end up clicking the light switch 10 times because you say, I got to do it one more time, because then it feels like, oh, the certain powers will be watching and will be satisfied, and all kinds of these kind of mental things that you create. Like the old times, they would go in their basement and create a statue out of clay, and then they would worship it like if it's a god, and they would ask favors and harvest and powers and health and cures from the damn statue that they themselves by their own hands out of clay made, because it's their thought tells them that if you do that, it'll give you power, and they believe it and they feel comfortable. The obsession of needing to be secure, the compulsion of creating something and believing that this actually will help you, will end up making you continue this to the point that every time you do the compulsion, whatever OCD it is, the touching the wall 50 times, turning the lights, how many times, washing your hands, locking the door, checking the stove 5 million times, or whatever else it is that you have you have the obsession about it, you do the compulsion, you feel good. When you feel good, dopamine is secreted, because when you feel good, there is a satisfaction and comfort, and dopamine is rewarded, is created. Feel good. And after a while, keep doing the compulsion because of the obsession, and every time dopamine is secreted, after a while, you're not doing it for the obsession anymore. You're doing the compulsion to get the dopamine. You're not addicted to the dopamine. And you keep doing this for a long time, and no longer you're doing it for dopamine, because it has now become your habit. Because the reward center and goal-seeking center and habitual center, they're all on the same circle. So you start as a obsession, compulsion, then you get the reward, the goal-seeking compulsion, then reward, dopamine. Then after the habit becomes a habit because of the dopamine, constantly you're doing the dopamine, then it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it becomes more difficult to get rid of. And there was a study done by Dr. Schwartz that was presented, this study that was done by Dr. Glabel and her student at MIT, Carl Smith, that they did an experiment on rats. And it was an amazing experiment that the rats were given chocolate milk if they would adhere to this sound, and they would go forward and make a left turn, go to the chocolate, get the chocolate milk. If that was one certain sound, it would mean this is what they had to do, go to the left. And if they did that, they get the chocolate milk. And the other sound, tone, would mean that they should go forward and make a right turn to get the sugar water. Rats like sugar water and chocolate milk. So as Dr. Short explains, well, to the rat's mind was one sound, one notation sounded, and they learn to go forward and make a left turn, and they get chocolate milk. And they said, oh, chocolate milk, that's great. So they kept learning which sound means chocolate milk, which sound means sugar water. So after a while, that became the habit, that became the training. And when they did that a few hundred times or 1,000 times, then it became something amazing. Let me tell you what. First, the rats learned how to respond to a certain sound to get the chocolate milk or the sugar water, depending on which tone was played. Then after a few hundred times, they became really good at it. Then they put some kind of a substance in the chocolate milk that would make the rat want to vomit, So, but they keep doing the chocolate milk thing before that experiment, maybe 1,000 times. And so the rat no longer was doing it to get the chocolate. It was doing it because it had become its habit. Every time he hears the sound, he knows that you got to go forward, make a left turn, get that chocolate. Because it became its habit and it was doing it automatic, then they introduced that little liquid that would make the rat want to vomit. But the rat still would comply. Hear the sound, go forward, go to the left, and drink that same chocolate milk that would make him vomit or give him that feeling of throwing up. Why? Because it was now his habit. The habit was overriding the feeling that he would get from drinking that chocolate. So that's why it is important for you, when you get OCD, try to understand, don't let that become your habit. Because after a while, if you're doing the compulsion for not because of the obsession, but because it has become your habit, then you wouldn't really, it will be very difficult to get rid of it. It will still be possible, but more difficult. So, anyhow, I hope I didn't butcher the experience. I kind of had forgotten about the sequence of it, but I have explained it very clearly in many other of the videos. I hope you enjoyed it. At any age, Braham, the OCD feels very, very scary, but you can cure it by understanding how the brain works, by your behavior toward allowing the anxiety of the not doing the compulsion build, and you'll see you won't die, nothing happens to you, and eventually you will no longer do the compulsion once you have the obsession, and then you begin to come back to your control and break the habit and not let it become the habit, and then you resist the compulsion whenever you feel like you got to touch the wall 50 million times. You won't do it anymore. The awareness of the behavior of the psyche can help you out. Jojo says, I'm sending money double than she demands every month. That's good. But my ex-wife don't let me meet her. Oh, that's not good. Then you got to go to the law and demand to see your daughter and get, joint custody. You have the right. Nobody will protect that daughter more than you do. So you got to get a lawyer and get that done. Or just tell her, listen, you don't let me see my daughter, I will not send you that money. Simple, because I love my daughter and I got to see her. I'm taking care of her and paying you and helping you to take good care of her. And what is this business of you not letting me see her? So perhaps you can discuss that with your lawyer and get that done. Brahman says, I doubt and have fear and I don't want to be. Doubt about what? And says, I doubt and have fear and I don't want to be gay or anything. Well, you won't be. If you're not born gay, you won't be gay. Don't be afraid. And the people who are gay, if they're not born heterosexual, then they won't be heterosexual. They shouldn't worry about it. Because it goes both ways, You are who you are and you're happy to be who you are. And you should enjoy and be prosperous and accomplish your life, whatever your gender is. But don't be afraid that you're going to be changed, because you won't. Gender doesn't change. You don't turn this way or that way. It's just in the thought. Don't play the thought. Don't pay attention to it. Steven says, I don't mean to go on about this, Mehran, but at work, this girl is really affectionate towards me and really warm. I feel her no different at all, but no longer initiates contact. That's what has confused me. and cause the way I feel. The reason I don't text is because from anything I hear is that I should pull away, plus texting too much kills attraction. I just don't know what to do. No, you know what to do. Your sense is correct. Don't text her. If she's warm at job, and you return in kind. Not overly, not more. Don't think, oh, this is a special time, limited time, it's at work, I gotta show her that I really like her. No. None of that shit. She smiles at you, you return a smile. She brings you coffee, for example, you bring her coffee if you went to get coffee. She's kind to you, be cordial, polite, and kind to her. Don't be stuck up and don't make a kind of a, some behavior that seeks more attention or means like you expect more attention. No, just be normal. But when you go home, don't contact her whatsoever until she does. Whether she's doing it on purpose, whether she just wants to be kind to have a good atmosphere at work and not mess that up, whether anything, doesn't matter. You just be cordial, yourself kind if she's kind. If she's coming towards you to discuss or talk about things at work. If she doesn't, don't go in her room or in her office or wherever it is to talk about things. Don't. Just pay attention to your work. When you come home, don't text her. None. Let her be free and feel that she's not obligated and that you're not an obligation. If she's privileged to have your attention, then she's privileged and she should feel that. And she should seek that. Not that you offer it for nothing. You offer it for nothing, she thinks that's what it's worth. Nothing. Therefore, she must request it and you respond because you like her. But if she requests it, don't take it, don't hold it back. Be normal. But don't also play like I don't pay attention to you because I'm mad at you because you don't pay attention to me. None of that child things. Let her feel free. Let her be feeling whatever it is that she's intending to is up to her. And don't push her and don't crowd her. At the same time, don't sell yourself short and don't put yourself like a doormat available for her. Simple. A balanced relationship. Stephen says, and Stephen says, maybe she's getting advice from her sisters or friends to not chase me. Okay, fine. That's fine. You don't worry about who she gets advice. You just react to her behavior towards you. Don't need to find out where she gets it from a Kama Sutra book or from, whatever other book or from my book or whoever. Just respond to her according to what you think is cordial, is gentlemanly, is balanced, is positive, and don't fall into the trap of playing the game she's playing. Only simply do not reach out when she hasn't reached out. If she reaches out, respond, but don't ask for anything more. Just respond to what she's requesting or she's asking or the conversation she wants to have. That's all. Do not initiate. Until she comes and says, listen, Steve, what the hell is going on with you? Why don't you initiate? And you say, dear, because I don't play a game. I don't know what's going on in your head. You were so kind and warm and we were getting it along just perfectly. And you suddenly started to be a child, a high school girl. I don't know if you're getting advice from anyone or you have lost interest in me. Whichever it is, it's your prerogative and I will respect that. But if you want to play games with me, I ain't playing. I'm not interested. So that's why I don't respond to your games to be more attracted to you when you don't pay attention or text. I simply leave you alone and respect your choices as a woman, and I'm here to protect you, even protect you from myself. I'm not going to chase you to make you uncomfortable. If you want this relationship, it has to be two ways. So if you're cordial and you're interested, I'm more than happy to be with you. If you're not, I'm more than happy to leave you alone. That's what I call someone who cares about you. And if you don't think that's what it is, then keep playing your game. That's it. I said it. All right then. Marshall says, I know I have been suffering from HOCD before 3 weeks, and after the thoughts came in, it goes for like 4 to 5 days now. After that's it. Again came, I don't know. I know what I am and I know what to do. I don't know. I know. No. Look, just stick to what you've always known yourself to be. That's all. The rest of it is thoughts. Don't entertain thoughts. Doesn't matter what thought supposed to mean or indicate or suggest. Just understand that these are thoughts and you don't pay attention to them. Don't data hunt them. Don't entertain them. Don't try to find out what they mean about your gender or nothing. You are who you were always, and you will be always what you have always been. It's not going to change. Thoughts are just production of the brain material process that it takes all kinds of information that's found its way into your consciousness, which is all kinds. Everybody's personal lives are on TV. Personal lives is on public domains to be discussed, or there is so much information coming out that is irrelevant to many of you in one way or another, and relevant to some of you, and then irrelevant to some and irrelevant to some others. So, but all that information is available, and it's been introduced to everybody, and to many it's irrelevant. To you it might be irrelevant, but it has found its way into your consciousness. And then the brain is going to pick up all those things that, whether relevant or irrelevant, has found its way in consciousness of human beings. All kinds of mediums, internet, movie, cinema, television, all kinds have delivered all these relevant or irrelevant information depending on what your gender you are. And then you have all that in the brain, and the brain in the mind, and the brain finds all that, uses all that to make thoughts. And brain doesn't have a gender. It doesn't think about what you are, what you prefer, what you don't prefer. It just makes thoughts. That's its job. You're not supposed to think, oh, it made that thought in my brain, and I'm heterosexual, and that thought was not heterosexual thought. So that means now that this was in my brain, then it means something. No, it means nothing. Because the same kind of a thought or different kind of thought could be in the mind of another gender, and that also means nothing to that gender, because it's just a thought. And the brain doesn't care and doesn't know what gender you are. It just makes thoughts. It just makes thoughts according to, what its function is. As I said, the kidney has a job to do, filters your blood, cleans your blood, and then your liver has detoxifying a job to do, and the brain makes thoughts. But suddenly, because it happens in the screen of your head, a suggestion comes to your attention that is not according to what you're interested or your inclination is, but it happened to pop up in your head. Then you think, oh, it must mean something. No, it doesn't mean anything, because this brain does the same thing in everybody's head. It makes all kinds of non-relevant thoughts in other people's head to them. So, and to you, this is irrelevant. To other people, something else is irrelevant. But the brain makes all kinds of thoughts. And the rule of thumb is the thought that is made in your head is opposite of what you've always been and what you are. So even if you were had no idea what gender you are, when a thought attacks you with some kind of a OCD thought, intrusive thought, you know that you are opposite of what the suggestion is. Then you figure out what your gender is. So if it's attacking you with the thought of heterosexual and you're homosexual, then you know that you're for sure homosexual. If you're heterosexual and you always knew you're heterosexual, you lived that way, and it attacks you with thoughts of homosexuality, then you can be damn sure that is therefore you're heterosexual because it always attacks you opposite of what you are. It never attacks you because you're not uncomfortable with something that you are and the thought of it shows up. You're only uncomfortable with something that you're not and the thought of it pops up in your head. So therefore, something that pops up and you're uncomfortable, that tells you that you are not it. Simple as that. All right. Just don't pay attention, Marshall. These are just the way it is for you're not alone. This is not one or two people. This is like millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. They say many millions of people. 94% of the people on earth have intrusive thoughts of one kind or another. So that's the malfunction of the brain. It's got nothing to do with you changing your gender. Just stop paying attention to it. You have always been what you've been. You are what you've always been, and you will always be what you've always been and what you are, what you want to be. That's the end of that. The rest of it is just thoughts. Don't entertain them. Brahman says, salute you, sir, when you will go to God, when God will ask you what you did on earth, you will be proud, and your head would be up, and you will say, I helped a lot of persons. God bless you, sir. But God bless you, Brahman. And thank you for the love, and thank you for the kindness. And if there is a God, God already knows what I have or have not done. So he's not going to ask me. He's just going to either bless me or not. But thank you. I love you too, and thank you very much. And Sidesh Parkar says, I have one question for you, sir. I would love if you answer that. And the question is, I understand I'm not the mind. I'm not the thoughts, yet I get bothered by them and feel frustrated for having them. Well, don't, because that's the way it is. It's like saying, I know I'm not the gas in my tummy. I know I'm not shit, but I really get frustrated when I have gas and when I have to go to the bathroom and get that shit out. Well, whether you get frustrated or not, that's what the intestine is supposed to function in order to do what it's designed to do. The brain has all these intrusive thoughts because brain's job is to protect you. So it's trying to come up with all these alarms and alerts and concerns in order to protect you from something that you will be alert in case you may come across it. That's its job. But it does its job so many times and continuous that it becomes annoying. That's why you should simply recognize its intrusive thought, but don't consider it serious for you to do anything or pay attention to it, and don't engage with dialogue with it, and don't try to data hunt it, don't try to interpret these thoughts. And in that way, you will just simply understand that it's doing its job to protect you. And that's all. It's trying to alarm you, but it's doing it a little bit too much because sometimes it goes into overdrive, becomes too alarmish and focuses on danger so much. And that's fight and flight mode that we all have, because it's still a state from thousands and thousands of years ago when we were always living in a paranoia state, when animals would attack us, other villagers would attack us, wars would happen, fights would happen, would come and steal our women, come and steal our chicken and food, and all kinds of insecurity. We still have that kind of alarmish attack mode, constantly focused on to protect ourselves. And these thoughts, when they show up, we react to them. Brain is very powerful. That's why when it makes a suggestion, the body reacts to it. Just learn not to react to them of these intrusive thoughts and understand that it's trying to protect you, but it's overdoing its job, and therefore pay no attention to the intrusive thoughts. Just recognize that it is intrusive, and that's the end of it. There is no frustration, no nothing. That's its job. It's trying to do its job. That's all. You just pay no attention to it because, okay, keep doing your job. I understand. You want to alarm me. Okay, fine. I'm alarmed. Don't worry. But don't treat the thought as if it's an actuality. It has no existence. It's just a thought. Poof. You know? Just suggestions. It's like you walk in the street, somebody says, hey, you're an asshole. That doesn't make you an asshole, but it doesn't sound good. It makes you frustrated, makes you upset, makes you disrespected. That's all. But you don't become an asshole. It's a word. But because words have meanings, and you can't dispute the meaning of the word because it's in the dictionary, and that suggestion has a connotation of word and a meaning, and then you think, it must have some effect on you. No, it has no effect on you because word doesn't exist. And someone passing by the street says something to you, that doesn't make you that or not. What if someone passes by and says, hey, you're a cherry? I'm not a cherry. Or you're a sandwich? I'm not a sandwich. You're a donkey. Oh, suddenly you say, oh, it's possible. Well, how could it be possible? If it can't be possible to be a sandwich, you can't be possible to be a donkey. But because donkey has a connotation, has a meaning of being stupid and this and that, you interpret it and you get frustrated. But you don't pay attention whether he says you're a donkey or you're a sandwich. Neither one says, oh, he's an idiot. So thoughts the same. Doesn't matter what content, what topic shows up in your head. You just consider them all intrusive and irrelevant, meaningless. And you have no interest in that. Therefore, they're all treated the same way. Diss them, ignore them, move on. Don't pay attention to them. When you do not pay attention to something, that something doesn't become as if it has any purpose or meaning or any effect on you. It becomes non-existence. Take your attention away from it, it becomes non-existence. Give attention to it, it becomes alive and takes your time, and you data on it, you debate with it, and it makes you frustrated and angry and all that. But don't pay attention to it. It looks like it doesn't exist at all because it doesn't. It's just words. Poof. You go to Louvre Museum in Paris and you look at one painting. And as beautiful or as ugly the painting may be, it is only there and noticeable when you actually pay attention to it. No matter what it is, if you don't pay attention to it, turn your head around, looks like it doesn't exist. It doesn't matter how big it is. It just doesn't, because you can't see it. You're not paying attention to it. Things that you pay attention, they seem like if they exist. You don't pay attention, they seem like they don't exist. And that's how it is. Don't allow your thoughts, which they're not your thoughts, they're just thoughts, appear in your head to become your reality. They have no existence. Don't give them attention. They won't look like if they have any substance or presence or existence to them. They will live in a limbo and they will never take your time or attention because you are the boss. You decide what to pay attention to, what not. So decide not to pay attention anything to these intrusive thoughts, then they won't be frustrating you. They won't be bothering you because you're the boss. You make the decision what to look at, what you don't look at, what to hear, what you don't hear, what pay attention in here in the thought, what you diss them and you go move on about your business and your day. That's how you deal with intrusive thoughts. You don't think of them as if they have any existence. They're suggestions, and anything, any suggestion that comes your way, you're not supposed to pay attention to it, like the suggestions and utterings of people out there. You pass by, ignore them. Same thing with the thoughts. And Stephen says, I've been doing that. Thank you. Just hurts my feelings. Yeah, but you know what? You're tough. You're a man. You're supposed to be hurting your feelings, but you learn about it, and the feelings will not hurt after a while when you actually see that you are in control. You're the boss. You're not following her because you decide that you're not going to respond to her non-responsiveness. That was a twist of the words. And see, this is what should do. I think I just explained what you should do. Sidesh. Yeah, don't worry about it. They have no existence, so they cannot really bring any fear or anxiety. They just bring the idea of you should be fearful because you want to protect yourself. But when you focus on the fact that they don't have any existence, then you don't have to be worried about it, because something that doesn't have existence, you don't have to worry about it or be fearful of it. You're the one who gives it reality in your head by focusing on it. Don't focus on it. Understand that it's of no existence, no value. You have no interest in it. Then move on, and it will be left behind in the dust. Simple. Stephen says, good night, Meryl. Good night. And he says, thank you. You're quite welcome. Arlo Court says, 17, male, any advice about negative thoughts about the future? My dream is to be a doctor. I just want to clear my mind of negative thoughts like I can't do it. Hope that makes sense. Of course it makes sense. I can't do it is not fact. I can't do it is also a thought, is an intrusive thought. It's a negative thought. It's not your thought. It's the brain's thought, and brain works on the negative premises. That's his job. You're supposed to ignore all these intrusive thoughts. Stick with the plan that you want, and you remember what I said tonight. You can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it. There is nothing in this world, nothing positive in this world, that if you don't put your mind to it, you won't be able to do it. Did I say this sentence right? In other words, let's put it positively. You can accomplish anything, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. So don't buy into this bullshit that I'm worried about future. What future? It's you. You're making your future. Future doesn't make you. Future doesn't make your future. You are creating, weaving this what you want to be by yourself, by your efforts, and you can do that because you're not going to be faced with a humongous job. You're going to be doing it bit by bit, day by day. You read this chapter, you read the other chapter, one more test, one more exam, one more class, and one at a time. It's not all such a big, huge thing to do. So many doctors in the world, how do you think they did it? Do you think they have anything over you? No, they were also 17 years old, 18 years old. They made up their mind and just went step by step. They did it bit by bit. And you can do it. There's no big deal. I'm sure you can do it. I'm going to hear Dr. Arlo Court. I don't think that's your name and last name. But I'm sure you can be a doctor if you really want it bad enough. And nothing can stop you. I don't care if it's a thought. That's the least of anything. If it stops you, it would be some idiot doesn't give you entrance to the university if you don't have good grade enough. So focus on your studies and get good grades, and definitely you can become a doctor. No ifs and buts about it. These things are just thoughts. Thoughts have no reality. They're illusions. They're illusions, that's all. And we're lazy people. Everything that is a little bit challenging is, oh, I can't do it. Why? Because it's good. I could sit by the TV and have popcorn. And then what? Then who's going to pay the rent? No, I want to live in style. I want to study and become a doctor or whatever it is that you want to become. Go become that. Serve people, help people, make the money, and have a good lifestyle. There it is. Don't ever have doubts. The brain may want to create doubtful thoughts in you, but you don't create the doubtful thoughts in your by your own choices, and just the doubtful thoughts that the brain makes, and you'll be fine. Right now is not a future. You shouldn't be focused on the future. Focus on the now. Take care of the now. Do as best as you can in the now. And all the time, the future, when it is the future, is the now. There is no such thing as future waiting for you to be worried about it. Future doesn't exist. It's always the now. Right now, next moment is not here. But now it is. Okay, now it's the now. I am in the now. I'm doing whatever I can right now. I'm drinking this tea in the now. I can't drink this tea in the future, because when I'm drinking this tea in the future, it's not the future. It's the now. It is always the now. So you should never worry about the future is going to cause you trouble, because it will always be accumulation of many now moments that creates eventually a certain kind of a time span that you think it's a future, but it's always a now, and you can handle almost anything of that sort for accomplishing what you want to accomplish in the now, because it's such a small moment, and in that small moment, all the problems to achieving your goal is very small, and you can handle it. So that's how you deal with the whole journey of towards the future. It's just like anything else. Bit by bit, you handle it. And all those bits are in the moments of the present. And all the moments of the present are so short that there's only little problems can be in it as far as studies or whatever it is they want to accomplish. And you can handle that because it's so small. So bit by bit, you will end up getting it all going. Sagota has sent us a super chat of 200 Indian rupees. And he says, good night and thank you for being here. Thanks a lot. You're quite welcome, Sagota, and thank you for helping the channel. We appreciate it. And Levi says, sometimes my mind creates these memories that had never happened, and it freaks me out because I have no idea if it happened or not. Who cares if it did or not? What is happening is that it's not happening now. That's your reality. The rest of it is bullshit. Don't get hung up in that. And Grateful Heart says, I needed to hear this more than you know. Thank you. You're quite welcome. And Grateful Heart says, you're an angel. Well, thank you. just make sure that you guys share this link that I'm going to put in here that talks about the live stream that we have on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Vancouver time. And hopefully, if I can continue it, 9:30 Saturday nights Vancouver time. The 9:30 version is for the India, Australia, Pakistan, Iran, UAE, and Asian countries, Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, and so on and so forth. And the 1 o'clock p.m. on Vancouver Saturdays, Vancouver time, is for North America and European countries, UK, Germany, Sweden, and so on, Norway, and so on. So I want you guys to be kind enough to use this on your social media to let people know that we have these live streamings, so we will get to reach more people and be able to help them in what they are trying to figure out for themselves. And unless we introduce to them that this channel exists, they would know. So here's the link. I want to ask you guys to use that link in your social media. And it's only 1 minute and 47 seconds. And it talks about the Saturday live streams and what it entails. And I look forward for you guys to help the channel to be having more presence and promote it by talking about it in social medias, in chat lines, or wherever it is that you have an opportunity to introduce it. And Arlo Court says, thank you so much. You're quite welcome. Ipman says, like that I won't grow fully and develop deep voice because I'm still... Okay. All right. I don't know what that's supposed to mean here. And Sagota says 11:30 p.m. Bye there now, I guess. When do you go to sleep? Well, it's about time for us. It's been 2 hours again. Well, that's time for me to cut it loose before my loud voice annoys the neighbors. So it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here and allowing me to share a thing or two with you. I hope it's been fun as much as been for you, as much as it's been for me. And I hope that you enjoyed the program tonight. I look forward to talk to you again next week on Saturday. And Vita is here, is 8:43 in Spain. Good morning, Vita. But it's time for us to go. So I'm hungry and I've had 2 hours talk here. So I look forward to talk to you again next Saturday, 1 p.m. Vancouver time, and hopefully 9:30 p.m. Vancouver time on the same day next Saturday. And in the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.